we are going to get a brief introduction to logic in this video. So the first term that you should know is a statement. So a statement is either true or false. The other option is it could be an opinion. An opinion is something that is not true or false, it's just a belief. But a statement is either true or false. A compound statement is made up of two or more simple statements. So some common ways to connect simple statements into compound statements is the words and. So and in symbols is this upside down V. And is similar to intersection. So we talked about intersection when we looked at Venn diagrams and sets from earlier videos. An intersection was represented, it looked like an upside down U. So when you're talking about sets and Venn diagrams, you will use the upside down U. When you're doing logic, you're going to use the upside down V, but it has the same meaning, it's and. Next you have the connector or. Or is related to union, and if you remember, the union was represented with a U, so now it's going to be a V. So it's going to be a V, indicates or when you're using logic. And then another one is not. So the statement not uses this little tilde symbol. It relates to complements from before. So if you remember from sets and Venn diagrams, a complement of something was everything that is not happening. So in logic, use a little tilde symbol. So first we have three, I can't say statements, that's what we're trying to figure out, 3 sentences, and we want to decide if they are statements or opinions. So for the first one, the first president of the United States of America was George Washington. So that is something that is either true or false. So it's a statement. Bluebell is the best ice cream. So that's an opinion. It's neither true nor false. People are going to have varying views. Number 3, a bulldog is a breed of cat. So that is a statement. So remember that a statement, it doesn't matter if it's true or false. For example, a bulldog is not a breed of cat. That's a false statement, but it's still a statement because it has a truth value. For numbers 4, 5, and 6, we want to write each of the following compound statements using P and Q. Define P and Q as simple statements. So first, let's look at number 4. We're going to look for the connecting word. So we have the word and. So the word and is connecting 2 simple statements. So what's before and is one simple statement, and what's after and is another simple statement. So you'll see the first one is, it is raining. So we can label that as P. So P is, it is raining. And then after and is another simple statement, I brought an umbrella. So we can label that as Q. So Q, the simple statement is, I brought an umbrella. Okay, so we've defined P and Q as simple statements, and we want to write the compound statement using P and Q. So P and Q is how we would write that. Number 5, I drove to work or I rode the bus. So or is the connecting word. So before that, you have a simple statement, so we'll call that P. And after or, we have another simple statement, so we'll call that Q. So P is I drove to work. And Q is, let's use green. Q is I rode the bus. And so to write that in symbols, you would have P or Q. Okay, let's look at the third one. So the third one, we have this connector but. And but usually means and. So but is generally used in the place of and. Notice that we also have another one. It's not really a connector, but it's a negation. We have not. So when you're defining simple statements, you want to have the positive, not the not included. So P is going to be, I have a dog. Q is going to be, I do have a cat. So I have a cat. So P is, I have a dog. Q is going to be, I have a cat. So to write this in symbol form, you would have, I have a dog, that's P, but means and. I do not have a cat, so that is not Q. So see, the not is taken up by the little tilde symbol. The green is the Q. So you want to make sure that you define your simple statements as simple statements. Don't include the not in your simple statement. So P and not Q. Okay, finally for this section, we have a conditional statement. So a conditional statement is a compound statement in which a statement P, called the antecedent, implies a statement Q, called the consequence. So we would say, if P, then Q. So here are some examples. If the sun is shining, then we will go swimming. So let's try to figure out how many simple statements we have. So if then, you can think of it as the connector. It's what's happening. It lets you know it's a conditional statement. The sun is shining. That is a statement. That's a simple statement. We will go swimming. That's another simple statement. So in this case, we have two simple statements. We have P and we have Q. So P is the sun is shining. Q is we will go swimming. Okay, so now we can write this in symbolic form. P implies Q. So if P, then Q. In the directions it said using P, Q, and R. You would only need R if there's more than two simple statements. So let's look at number 8. First of all, we can see that we have the if then. So that tells you it's going to be a conditional statement. Look at the part after if. We have an and connector there. So we have an and connector. So we have two statements in the if portion, and then we have one statement after the then portion. So you clean your room. That's a simple statement. You take out the garbage. That's another simple statement. And then we have, let me change this and to yellow. And then we have, you can play video games. So that's another simple statement. So now we have P, Q, and R. So P will be, you clean your room. Q will define as, you take out the garbage. And then R, we can define as, you can play video games. So we want to connect these. First of all, we know that we're going to have an arrow because it's a conditional statement. After the conditional statement, that's the easy part. That's just R. That's all that's after then. But before, you have two things happening. Do you notice this comma? Let me see. There's a comma right here. That indicates that you probably want to have parentheses around everything before the arrow. So we have, you clean your room, which is P, and take out the garbage, that was Q. If you do those two things, then you can play video games. So we'll say P and Q implies R. So if P and Q, then R. Let's just make the arrow longer. Now, if I had P and Q, then R, that could have a different meaning. That's if P, comma, and R, then Q. So the comma kind of tells you your parentheses. Everything before the comma is connected. So that's why you have the parentheses around those.